Good afternoon and welcome into another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host as always, Randy Isbell, and to my left over there, see I can point to the right direction, Robert Hagan, who is ready to go to sleep, I think.
Oh my God! Second day of football practice and rushing out there, so it's good to get back into the flow of football practice and that. But I hope I am ready for all of the explosive news that have happened over the last 2 days with injuries, and we talk SummerSlam. I know we'll make a few people upset, but we'll talk SummerSlam. We've talked MLB. It's the busy time of year.
Absolutely, it's so busy. We're getting ready for the NFL. College starts this weekend. Kinda. It kind of starts this weekend. We will hit on that in a little bit. We're gonna try a new segment. This was not the week to do it, but that is totally fine. We're hoping to have Alicia here in a little bit. She's busy, so she will pop on when she is ready. But I have to tell you, we've talked about my house issues over this summer and having electrical issues. Last night I'm at work and I get a message saying that our air conditioner is leaking. So that's great. So we're checking it out. We finally get somebody to check it out today. And we're thinking, oh, it's just, the filter's messed up or whatever. Something simple. They're like, nah, you just need a new one. So we got a new air conditioner today. So we'd have to pay for it. It's all landlord stuff. So I guess that's a positive. I mean, hopefully it works better than the old one. So we'll find out. But this house is just, I feel bad for the people that actually own it and have to pay for all this crap that keeps breaking around us.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too. This just as much of anybody. We have new landlords over the last year, so they're remodeling the front. Has done a whole bunch of serious thing. They're laying sod tomorrow. They've spread gravel today. They were yanking out tree stump today, and it has been crazy out front. So hopefully within the next week it'll be all smoothed out and everything. But it'll be interesting. It'll be nice when it's all finished. So, but we did have our air conditioner go out in the hot part of the time too, and but we were only down 1 day.
Yeah, at least it wasn't back when we were at like 115. So even when they were working on it and stuff, it wasn't too bad in the house. On today's show, the AFL Finals Series is set. That final week was insanity. We'll get into that. The PWBA, was in Spokane. We'll talk about that. CM Punk showed up in AEW. I hate that brand, but now I have to watch it. A milestone was reached in Major League Baseball. There was an alliance made in college football for some reason. We'll talk about that. I am going to go even more Homer than the Homer himself, Robert Hagan, on this show. And we break down the NFC at the top of the hour. But first, Robert Hagan, speaking of Homerism, what the hell is happening with your Seattle Mariners? A nice little mini sweep of the Oakland A's that finished off today. You're now, one game behind Oakland for that last team out spot. I want to say you're 2.5 behind Boston.
I believe that's right.
Are you guys going to have hope all the way to September? What is happening?
Listen, I watched the first part of the week. They swept the Rangers. I was like, yeah. And then I go and have to talk about my Seattle Mariners. This was Sunday when you and I were doing power rankings. And I started doing the power rankings before the Mariner game got over from the Astros, their last one, as the Mariners had lost. I don't think I want to use the word lost. They got crushed by the Astros in the first two games.
The Mariners were happy that, losing by 10 runs did not equal 2 losses.
Oh, and it was sick to see those 2 games, but they were able to get one against the Astros on Sunday, a big 4-run home run. Yeah, but you're right. We're still 2.5 games back of in the wild card of Boston. So, a lot can still happen. And I did put that in our power rankings last week. Don't sleep on the Mariners yet. I mean, they're young. We're still don't sleep on them yet. And just listen, just because your Yankees are on a little bit of a run, winning their last 10,
a little bit.
But winning their last 10 right now, they're up, 4-2 over the Braves. It'll be interesting, but don't sleep on them yet. I mean, I don't think Mariners are quite out of this.
Thank God that Major League Baseball instituted the second wild card spot, because we would have nothing to talk about playoff wise right now. You look at the standings in Major League Baseball. The AL East is close. Yankees are 4 back. Boston is falling out of it. They're 6.5 back. But it feels like, even though they're 6.5 back, it feels like 16.5 the way they're playing and the bullpen's going. The White Sox are up by 9. The AL West is still kind of close. Houston does feel like the top of that division, but only 4 games on Oakland, 5 on Seattle. Atlanta has went on a crazy tear. Had won 9 in a row before they lost the battle of the teams that have won 9 in a row last night against my Yankees, but they're starting to run away with it. Milwaukee has run away with it, and other than that, I feel like the only 2 divisions that are really in contention is San Francisco Dodgers, and maybe a little bit still with Yankees and Rays. So, and then you look at the wild card, the Dodgers have completely run away with the top one in the National League. And I feel like the Yankees are going to start running away with that top one in the American League. So if they didn't have that second wild card, we'd be going, well, we know our 4 teams. The Dodgers wouldn't really be caring about catching the Giants because they're in the playoffs anyways. So thank God that for the Dodgers and the Yankees, they still have something they have to play for, or they have to play in that 1-game playoff.
But here's what team that has jumped up there that has surprised me, and we never said it: Cincinnati Reds.
I've been saying it all year.
I have not. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't. I've been trying to get them in our top 10 of the power rankings for months, and we finally got there. The White Sox have been my sleeper team, but that Reds team, I think we were slightly quiet on them just for the fact that we just figured the 2 wild cards were going to go to the NL West.
Yeah.
And they all of a sudden they were there, but that team is so good.
And I mean, you start worrying, well, what's happened with the Padres? I mean, they have bats. They just have lost their pitching. They've lost their mojo. I hope they get it back, but they're 2-8 over the last 10. But they have played some tough teams.
It's not going to get better
because they play the Dodgers this week. So I mean, it's going to be interesting.
You look at the Padres schedule; they have the hardest schedule left for any major league team. Like you said, they play the Dodgers here in a 3-game set. It gets a little easier with the Angels and Diamondbacks in there, but they still have a 3-game set with the Astros. They still play the Dodgers 2 more times. They've got we got 7 more games, 10 more games with the Giants still on the schedule. So they can still get themselves back into it if they can beat these teams, but it's not going to be easy. And the way they're playing, I don't want to play the Dodgers or the Giants right now.
No, I don't think that anybody wants to play the Dodgers right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in there. But I'm still the AL. Like you said, the AL East is still. I think it's up to you guys in Tampa Bay. I'm worried about the Red Sox, with their ups and downs. But NL East, I still think the Mets have hit a major slide over the last 2 weeks. So they're 2-8 in the last 10 with there. So, but Philadelphia has been right in that same spot. So I think there's still a possibility we get a little bit of something interesting happening in the NL East. We're down to most teams have right between, I want to say 36 and 37 games left. So
somewhere right in there. We got just over about 5 weeks left, 6 weeks left, I think, in the regular season. There's still a lot of time and a lot of baseball, of course, to be played. We still got a quarter of the season still left to go, but it just feels like things are wrapping up. And again, without that second wild card, we would start be previewing some of these possible matchups and who's going to win home field and everything. Speaking of the Mets, maybe they do get going a little bit with Francisco Lindor coming back to the lineup tonight. He's been out for a few weeks, so that's going to be big for them. The Arizona pitcher, Caleb Smith, I believe he's the second pitcher to be suspended for 10 games for a foreign substance. So the Mariners are no longer the only cheating team in the league. But the Diamondbacks could have all of their players on steroids right now. All the teams or all the bats could have cork in them, and they could use all the sticky substance in the world, and nobody will care because that team is just that bad. We've talked about it a few times. The New York Yankees have won 10 straight games. They are looking for 11 straight. I heard on the broadcast it's like the first time they would have won 11 straight games since like 1973, somewhere in there. So it's been a long time for the Yankees. I was looking up some stuff today, doing notes, and I want to know, Robert, can you name the only team to never win double-digit games in a row?
The only team to never win. Wow. I would have to probably say I'm going to go with one of the leaders. I'm going to say Tampa Bay.
No, Tampa Bay is incorrect. It is the Miami Marlins who have won 9 in a row like 5 times.
I got the right state. Does that count?
They did. As Atlanta now looks like they're probably going to tie this game up. This series has been good.
Oh. They called him out.
He's safe. He's safe. They called him out. He's safe. They're going to replay that. Unless his foot was just up in the air, he beat that throw, which is disappointing. But on the other side of the spectrum, again, Yankees have won 10 straight. How about the Baltimore Orioles, who have now lost 18 straight games? And if you've looked at the scoreboard tonight, we can just say 19 straight games as they are losing to the Angels 13-3 in the bottom of the 5th inning. As I'm watching this replay, I think he's safe.
I think he is too.
I think he's safe. Are they replaying it? I don't have the audio on.
Yeah, he grabbed his head. So
I think he's safe. So I think we got a tie game in Atlanta, which I would not suspect anything less there. But back to the Orioles again. Right now, they are currently tied for the 16th longest losing streak of all time. The longest of all time is 26 by the Louisville Colonels way back in 1889.
That was a trivia question earlier in the year. So,
did we add in their record in the trivia question?
I don't know if we ever added their record in or not.
The Louisville record that year was 27-111.
Ooh.
That was not a fun season for them. Can you name me the team that has the longest losing streak in the postseason?
Seattle Mariners.
You got to make to the postseason to be able to have a losing streak in the postseason. That would be the Minnesota Twins, who have lost 18 straight postseason games. Not series. They make the postseason and get swept every single time, usually by the Yankees. But it is funny. The Twins have an 18-game postseason losing streak. The Orioles have an 18-game regular season losing streak. Both of those teams, their last win were against my New York Yankees. So you beat the Yankees and then bad things happen to you. So just don't do it. Don't lose or don't beat the Yankees or bad things will happen to you. Have you been watching any of your Little League World Series?
I've been watching a little bit, hit and miss, and they do call Freddie Freeman out. So that's the end of the 5th.
I'm a Yankee fan. I don't agree with that call. I'll take it. But
yeah, that's tough. They must say he blocked the plate just enough. Come on, New York, get that right.
He might have got him in the back in time, but I don't know. I don't think so. Anyway,
been watching a little bit, not near as much as I was wanting to. The new format and them shifting around, but my big one, look out Hawaii. Hawaii has been playing extremely well. They knocked off Connecticut 9-1, and then they won against Nebraska on Sunday and won that one pretty well, hands down, 11-3 yesterday. They play Michigan tomorrow. Washington is 1-1 so far, so they knocked off Florida and then lost to Nebraska. So
Actually, they are 1-2. They lost to Texas to start, so Washington is out.
Oh, is Washington out now? Yes, they did. Yeah, so I just see that. I only caught the Florida game. It's the only one I caught of the Washington.
That was the no-hitter game, right?
Yeah. So, but Oregon has looked pretty good. They lost yesterday to South Dakota, but I'm all about Hawaii. Hawaii just looks that good for a young team. So, I'm interested and can't wait to watch Hawaii, Michigan tomorrow afternoon.
Now, unfortunately, right now, Oregon is losing their game currently to New Hampshire. It's 10-6 New Hampshire over Oregon.
And I have to say, welcome Wayne and Lona. Wayne and Lona finally added the R&R Sports Show this week. Thank you for the ad. Hawaii's looking great, so it'll be interesting.
Hawaii will play tomorrow against Michigan. Right now, again, Oregon is facing elimination. They had a crazy second inning, it looked like. They both scored 6 runs in that inning, so I'm excited to watch the highlights there. I'm with you. I haven't been able to watch as much. I've been seeing highlights here and there. But yeah, I love that even though, the crowd is minimal, you can only have so many family and friends there, and it's not like it used to be. But obviously, they've kept the loudest people that are still there. Every time I watch, that crowd is insane for how small in stature they are.
One thing that really stands out to me besides the crowds is how much these kids are enjoying playing against each other and with each other. Missing last year, getting back to Williamsport, the emotions that these coaches are bringing to these kids. And even I've seen more post-game talks with coaches and players and how they are just happy to be there, happy to be playing as a team. And it's not about the ball game. It's about the group of men that you're playing with. And, that's kind of the one thing, I talked with my kids today, the last 2 days of coaching, I tried to really drive home is, first of all, you got to be coachable. You're going to get everything out of it as long as you are to the point where you will take criticism. If we make a suggestion, it's not that we're not telling that you're wrong or you can adapt to or whatever. It's you have to be able to understand that we've seen it a little bit more. We're going to try to help you get to the right place. We're not yelling at you to yell at you and because, hey, big fat dumb, you did something wrong. No, that's not the point about it. It's the point of, we're going to make you better, but you have to be able to take the criticism. And one thing that we're noticing this year, we got, and I don't know if it's COVID still, but doggone, we have a lot of parents around trying to watch everybody get coached up. So it's nice to see the parents getting involved, but we're only 2 practices in, and I hope this doesn't bite us in the butt. And we get these players looking over at dad and mom. Am I doing it right? Well, it'll be interesting to see.
Who's your prediction? Who's going to win it?
Boy, I just like Hawaii. I mean, they will have a tough Michigan ball club. They had a tough game against Texas the other day, but yesterday that was. But I'm going to take Hawaii. Put me down for Hawaii.
There you go. Give me South Dakota. Give me pitching. They've yet to give up a run here in the World Series section, beating Louisiana 2-0, and then Oregon 3-0. So that will be my prediction, and we will see who is right as the finals is set for Sunday.
Yep.
It will be done by the time we get back. Very excited about that. All right, let's get back to the big leagues. I want to get to your player of the week. Give me your player of the week, man.
Well, this hands down player of the week for me, it was no brainer. I was really hoping it was going to happen last Tuesday as we were on the air, and it didn't. Yeah, give me Miggy Cabrera. If you watch tapes of that guy and how he plays the game, how he likes to have a good time. It's all about having a good time on the ball field, whether it's his own players, whether it's playing against them, whether it's the crowd that's right there. How many times have we seen Miggy go into the stands and grab peanuts or nachos or popcorn from a guy and have a good time, even giving hugs to the guy, making a play, and he gives the guy a hug that's right there along the wall.
Taking Ohtani's batting gloves out of his pocket after he gets a single. Yeah.
It's the same thing. And that is the player that I really love to watch. He is the guy. Miggy ends up being the 28th player to hit 5 home runs in his career. The biggest one for me is I knew he was going to be close, was going to be the number one person from Venezuela. He is the 6th born outside of the United States. But the big stat for me with him is he is the 6th player to hit 500 while having a career batting average over 300. So that tells you he hits for average too. He's not just swinging for the fence. He's always been
a very, very good hitter.
Yeah, and so I like that. He does lead. He is still 3rd most homers for the Tigers. I think he is. Quote me if I'm wrong. He's behind Al Kaline and I'm drawing a blank on the other one for the Detroit Tigers. He is 5th all times for the Miami Marlins, or at that time when he played there, it was the Florida Marlins. But tough thing, he's had a rough week. He went 4 for 24, but he did have 5 RBIs. But the career numbers he puts up, I mean, you've got a 311 batting average, 5 home runs, almost 1,800 RBIs, and a 922 OPS. This guy is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
100%. And you are right. He is 3rd behind Norm Cash and Al Kaline as far as Detroit Tigers go. My question to you, I agree with you 100%. First ballot Hall of Famer, not only just for what his skill set on the field, but just as you said, he and Adrian Beltre are probably 2 of my favorite players to watch in the last 20 years. They have fun with the game, and they understand that it is entertainment, and they like to goof around. And you play 162 of these things. If you don't have a little bit of fun on the field, you're going to go crazy. Those 2 have been around for so long. They're like, we're going to have fun. I don't care.
It was the same way, first getting to see, and you're going to say Homer, but here we go. Ken Griffey Jr. to be able to sit and play baseball with your dad, play baseball with Harold Reynolds, one of the better second basemen that ever played the game, but then to play with Buhner, to play with Ichiro, to play with his dad in Cincinnati. I mean, it just he was another one of those guys. Yeah, he looked into the dugout. He always had a smile on his face. Yes, he was very serious when he got to the plate, but he loved to have a good time. So
yes, let the kids play the game. I like that we're getting more personality back into it. But I got a question for you.
Okay.
Miggy's now the 28th person to hit 500 home runs. Who will be number 29? So you look at the next 5 on the list, and I think maybe only 1, maybe 2 people on this list can even make it to 500. There's a few a little bit lower down that are younger that I think have a good chance. But your next 5 on the list, you have Nelson Cruz at 443. And if he plays till 97, he could make it. I mean, he probably will anyways. Robinson Cano at 334. Giancarlo Stanton at 333. Justin Upton at 324. And Joey Votto at 323. So any of those names for you get to 500, or do you have to go farther down the list?
I think there's 2 for me, not on this list, but for me, I think the one on this list that's going to stand out is your Yankee. I think Stanton makes it there. He's got a few more years to get there. As much as I do like Nelson Cruz, I think he's down to finishing up that career. I don't think he makes it. Joey Votto is a great story too. We'll talk a little bit about Joey Votto here after we're done. I touch on that story we brought back. But I'm going to save it because I think our guest might put her player on that list to be the next one to hit 500.
I will. And she is.
And I think
she's ready to say it.
I know she's ready to say it. She's got that smile on her face. She's ready to say he is going to hit 500. We'll let her say that here in just a second.
Well, let's bring her on. She's walking around. She's a very busy person, but we got Alicia over here. So, Alicia, thank you so much for hanging out with us. So go ahead. Who's going to hit 500?
Mike Trout.
I agree. Mike Trout. Yeah, Mike Trout's at 310 right now. He's only 29, and he just has to not miss every year with injuries like he has this year, and he will get there no problem.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be back this year. I know he's saying he is, but I just don't see it happening. They take his injuries and Ohtani's injuries they're almost overcautious with it, so we'll see what happens. Sorry I'm late.
No, it's okay.
While also packing, I leave with volleyball tomorrow morning, so multitasking.
All good. We figured you were busy, and that's totally fine.
But
so I got to ask now that we got you here, and I know you're busy and getting ready for volleyball and stuff, but how did the wedding go? We haven't talked to you since then.
It was good. It was fun. I'd show you my ring, but it's at the jeweler right now, getting put together, getting soldered together. It was fun. It was busy. It was a crazy couple days. We drove for 2 days, did a couple days straight of wedding stuff, got married, went to Disneyland the next day, and then drove for 2 days again. But we're married, and it's done.
There was some gorgeous pictures. I saw some unbelievable pictures, so it looked like a great time. Why Disneyland the day after? That was my question. How come Disneyland the day after?
I grew up going there.
I just gotta say, people win the Super Bowl, and that's where they want to go is Disneyland. So why not when somebody gets married and they ask what's next?
Exactly.
Disneyland. I think it makes sense.
Exactly. I mean, I grew up going to Disneyland. We grew up, we both are from Southern California. So I went to Disneyland all the time as a kid. I had a pass through college. So it was open to people who lived out of state again. So why not? We only had 1 day. So we did a little mini honeymoon, and while honeymoon, somebody just drove down the street with trash can standing in the back of their truck holding trash cans. It was very strange.
Welcome to the valley.
Yeah, my dog was really confused too. It's just like, what? But yeah, we'll honeymoon next summer. Obviously, the summer is the only time I really have for vacation, for long periods of vacation. So yeah, we'll go to Canada next summer, hopefully.
Yeah, saw you caught a couple baseball games.
Yep, the Angels
were
in
down
Seattle. There. So I went over to Seattle. I flew over there, stayed with a good friend of mine, and yeah, watched the Angels blow chunks in Seattle. I did. Hey, Ohtani did hit an absolute moonshot, though, so I was there for that.
You were there for that game?
Yeah.
I had to turn my TV off after that happened. I was so upset.
For Mariners fans after that.
Hey, at least the Angels are playing the Orioles, so you don't even have to watch. You can just write a W with a permanent marker.
I mean, it's 13-5 in the 6th inning. Ohtani's the only Angel without a hit right now in this game.
All right, so you said you're getting ready to head off with volleyball. They started last weekend and had a fantastic start. Did you go out there on the first trip too?
I did not. They went out to Indiana, and they played Goshen, Calumet of St. Joseph, I've never heard of before. And then the second day they played Huntington, who was the host, and then they played St. Ambrose, and they did not drop a set. They were phenomenal. There's a freshman from Mexico on the team. Her name is Gracia, and she looked good. You could not, if you weren't looking at the roster, you wouldn't know she was a freshman. She currently leads the team in kills, attack percentage, points per set, and aces. So she's doing really, really well. It'll be a little bit stiffer competition this weekend. They open the weekend with Embry-Riddle, Arizona, who historically is pretty good. They'll face Montana State Northern on Saturday, who they're familiar with, obviously, from the times in the Frontier. And then they'll close out the weekend with Arizona Christian on Saturday. So they play 2 matches Friday, 2 on Saturday.
And Embry-Riddle's ranked right now, right? Were they a preseason? I can't remember. I looked at it at the beginning and I forgot.
Typically, they're in there. They're a team that historically has been in the top 25. Yep. I forget who they play. Oh, they play the second match is against Valley City State out of North Dakota.
So that's going to be a quite a big fall season. Let's talk a little bit about home games. As you got, I got a point right there. The voice of the LCSC volleyball, going to be doing radio, and I'm proud to announce that I'm jumping on board. Going to be doing some PA announcing. But for the listeners that want to come out and watch the games, what kind of attendance stuff are we going to have to deal with?
So as of right now, we don't have a cap on attendance. We're at our normal capacity as far as that goes. The school's guidelines do state that masks are required indoors regardless of vaccination status. So everybody needs to come in wearing a mask. We don't want to have to police anybody, so just make both of our lives easier. Everybody's life easier, and please just wear a mask. We want our athletes to be able to compete. And this is especially compared to last year. Volleyball played 14 matches in the spring. Not even the entire conference was playing. So to be able to have hopefully a full schedule for them this year is huge. So just help us out, do your part, wear a mask.
And the first home games are September 3rd and 4th, Friday and Saturday at the activity center. Pack that place up. Obviously, as she said, wear a mask and be safe and everything there, but show up and be loud and let's have some fun.
Southern Oregon is a great program. Historically top 10. They're ranked number 25 right now. Because they didn't play last year, so no one saw them last season, but they're a great team. Oregon Tech had a strong team last year, so those are our first 2 matches. And then we play Walla Walla September 14th. So if you're at the Welcome Fair tomorrow, look for the athletics booth. You'll see some of our SAC members there. You can enter a drawing at the Welcome Fair. And if you're present at the September 14th match, you could win a prize, but you have to be present.
I'm also very glad that we're hearing that there's no attendance restrictions. I've learned this week, because obviously being a freshman last year and half of the students were taking classes online and stuff, I learned really quick on Monday that there are way more students at LC than I was expecting, and finding a parking spot was way harder than I was expecting. So I'm glad that goes for games as well for now.
Yeah. We'll have the Warrior Zone section right there in the middle. We want to pack that place. We're planning on having a Code Red match when College of Idaho's in town. That's, I believe, in October, but we'll definitely want to pack the gym for that one. That's going to become a rivalry there for every sport with CFI, I feel like. So let's get everybody there.
So we did say one player to look there for on the team. Who else on the Warriors team do we want to look out for that's going to make this Warrior team an impact? Or basically, we're looking for an impact player or a couple of players. Who do we want to watch for?
I'm just making sure my dog doesn't trip on the charger. Yeah, no, we've got a really good mix of newcomers and returners. Some of our seniors. So Jess Ruffing is one of our setters. She is she's the only senior that is a true senior that is in her final year of eligibility, even with COVID. So she's definitely the leader on the team. Hannah Martinez was a freshman last year, a setter. So they split time. Hannah was all conference last year, as well as Jada Wims, who was a middle blocker. She was first team all conference and first team all region last year. So she's efficient in the middle, leads the team in blocks. Her and Carly Brinson both lead the team in blocks right now with 8. But Jada gets up there. She's not the tallest on the team, but when she jumps, you would think she's the tallest on the team. He's excited. There's a cat outside the window.
I think he agrees with you of who needs to watch. So we know that volleyball, as Randy and I are starting to be going to start being a mainstay of LC sports. What other sports do we have that we want to pay attention to that are starting off here in the fall.
Yep, cross country has their first race on September 3rd. They'll be up at Eastern Washington. But what's exciting about the cross country team, aren't dogs great? Is they return every runner who raced at nationals last year, both on the men's and women's side. On the men's side, that includes All-Americans Cole Olson, Clayton Van Dyke, and Chase Barrow, the big three, the 3Cs, some of the best runners to run at LC ever. So they're all coming back. And then we've got a host of newcomers on both sides that we're really excited about. The men are also, they were picked to finish first in the conference in the preseason poll. The women were picked second. So the men finished 8th at nationals last year, the women 13th. The national rankings come out tomorrow, so we'll see how that's changed. But the women are also returning everybody from last year, including top 100 finishers, Callie Johnson, Maya Plasnik, and another all-conference runner in Emily Adams, who is in her final season as well. She's a true senior, but a leader on the team for quite some time. And then golf will kick off their fall season also in September with quite a few new players and a brand new coach.
Yes. And I just have to ask, how does it feel to have your sport spread out again?
It's so nice. Oh my gosh, that spring was absolutely insane. And then capping it off with the World Series while planning a wedding, I don't recommend any of that.
So I guarantee when we get back to LC for World Series next year, you won't be near as stressed and running every time I looked at you, you were running all over the box to down and above and out. And it just, I can't wait to see it when you're only focused on one sport.
That's normal. The running around, especially in what we call the crossover between the winter and spring sports, where you have the majority of your sports going at the same time because winter sports are in their championships and spring sports are starting. It's still pretty busy. You're not throwing cross country and volleyball into the mix. But luckily this year, I mean, having Randy on the radio for volleyball has helped a ton just because I know I'm going to have somebody there. Having you fill in for PA has helped because normally we need some help when it comes to volleyball PA. People are a little intimidated by volleyball because they don't know it as well. But we just want people who are excited about LC sports, so that worked out perfectly. It's just, I have a good team of interns this year. One of them's returning. She runs cross country. So she's been with me for about 1.5 years now. So just knowing I have good help is huge.
Yeah, Robert, I did PA one time for volleyball last year. I'll give you a little bit of advice. If you have no idea what you're doing, just say the school's name.
Yes.
Whoever wins the point, just say their name, and that's all you get. That's fine, and everyone seems to be okay with it.
Yep.
There you go. Should make things easier.
We talked about your Angels a little bit. Obviously, kind of falling out of the race a little bit, but excited for next year once they get healthy again, or?
I mean, yeah, the biggest thing, and everybody says it every year, is the Angels need pitching really bad. There's no way around it. Yes, Ohtani's good. Ohtani's really good. But if you don't have anybody else besides that, you're not going to do well. They've got to stay healthy. We just lost Patrick Sandoval for the year, which does not help because he was coming around. I'm looking at
just
this
hurt
guy
my
that's in
fantasy team
now, and it's someone I've never even heard of. It's at this point, the bullpen's the Salt Lake Bees.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that you still have Dylan Bundy on your team.
You know, he started today.
I don't know what happened to him. He didn't even get out of the second inning, but
against the Orioles, his former team.
He's never been good. Ever been good.
He was good last year. Oh, as we're talking about Angels pitching, Santander just crushed a 2-run shot. So
let's stop talking about them now.
13-8. I swear, if the Orioles come back right now like the Angels did the other day.
I gotta ask. I think it's a no-brainer, but do you vote for Ohtani as the AL MVP?
I do. I would at this point in the season. Earlier in the season, I wasn't sure with Vladdy Jr. chasing the Triple Crown. It's hard to say no to someone who's chasing something like that, but since he hasn't been able to keep up that pace, Ohtani hasn't been at the same pace as he was the first half of the season, but I feel like his pitching has gotten better. So I think he's the front runner at this point.
So do we say him as Cy Young candidate also?
I don't know. I don't know if he's got enough innings for a Cy Young candidate necessarily, because I know he didn't. There was a couple starts he just didn't make. I would say MVP, but I don't know about Cy Young for him. Maybe in the future, as long as he threw 8 innings the other day, and that was a career high for him. So,
It's still crazy to watch Otani
oh,
pitch 8 innings, hit a home run, and then get taken out of the mound and go play right field.
it's insane. It's
it's
something
so
that
fun.
we've never seen. So we are so lucky to be witnessing something like this.
So right now, Shohei Ohtani does have 100 innings total right now.
Mm-hmm.
So right at 2.79. So he could be in the mix, but
He's in the conversation for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I just don't know. He's not my pick necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think mine either. I think Lance Lynn has just been too good for the White Sox. I'd like to say Garrett Cole, but he's been hit or miss
Yeah.
too much, I think, at this point. So I honestly, I think it's pick a Chicago White Sox pitcher that's been
Pretty much.
healthy.
Yeah.
And
they
there you go.
haven't lost since the Field of Dreams game, right?
Yankees,
Yeah.
about that, yeah. I think that was their last loss. Was
Yeah.
that Field of Dreams game?
Yeah.
That game was so cool.
That was I've been to the Field of Dreams, so it was really cool
Have
to
you?
see that on TV.
Such a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we need to know here for the fall?
Not just yet. We will be releasing the winter schedules, so the basketball schedules here probably next week or the week after. So keep an eye out for those. It'll be the first full season Cascade Conference for basketball as well,
Mhm.
seeing as it was just in us and C of I last year, so it'll be some good matchups.
I have one question I want to ask you about. Have you taken over the Twitter account? Because I keep seeing all these athletes taking over the LCSC Twitter account. Tell me a little bit about that. Are you getting involved with that too?
So on our Instagram account, we had an alumni takeover. We had a couple alumni takeovers. So I reached out to a couple alumni that are still related. They're still in the sports world. Obviously, Seth Brown still in the sports world. He played baseball here. His wife Brittany played basketball here. So that was a no-brainer for me. Having Sam in Tokyo, that was a ton of fun. Even though it didn't end the way he wanted, with him not being able to finish the race, it was still cool to see him in the Olympic Village. And then we had Chris Lean and Katie Hendricks doing their thing. Katie's at Gonzaga, Chris playing. So it was just nice for people to see that you're not done with sports necessarily when you graduate. There's so many different options, and just it's nice for people who are thinking about coming to LC to see, yes, we played here, and here's what we learned, and here's the value of this school.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna go let you deal with your dog, who really wants to. It sounds like he's trying to eat the computer at the moment, and let you get ready to travel with volleyball. But thank you so much for hanging out with us for a few minutes and
Thank you,
catching
guys.
us up to date.
Yes, we'll see you
All
soon.
right. We'll see you next week.
Yes, absolutely. We will be there September 3rd and 4th for the opening of volleyball for sure.
Well, you'll be there for both of them, and so you'll be there for both of them. I will be there on Saturday as I've got Clarkson football, but I'm excited.
I was going to say you could be there Friday as a viewer, but yeah, I guess you do have some Clarkson.
I'm excited, but I am excited. This is going to be a new thing of doing something that's volleyball. You and I have to talk a little bit about what my duties will be, because I'm kind of like
I just told you that that's it. Just say that's the team name that won the point. That's and say kill in a cool way. I was not able to do that, or an ace, or I don't know. It was different for me. I did the best I could. It's like what I'm going to do for the radio games. I'm learning volleyball as we go. The funny thing is, I'm like, all right, the Olympics are this summer. I'm going to watch volleyball in the Olympics and learn the play-by-play. Well, it's on TV, so they just let the play out like in tennis, and then they talk about it. I go, I can't do that on the radio. I got to be able to say what's happening. So
I tried.
I got to find a different way.
I tried listening to, not this last week, but 2 weeks ago, listening to one of the golf tournaments on the way, or no, it was Saturday. I was on my way to Post Falls to bowl, and it was so hard listening to the Northern Trust as I'm driving up to Post Falls, getting ready to go bowl, and listening to the golf tournament on the radio. That was the weirdest thing.
Or did they just talk like this the whole time?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like,
please do not fall asleep on the road while we are talking about golf.
It just blew me away. So,
God. All right. So we talked about your player of the week. I don't know if he got there. Alicia popped in at the perfect time to throw in Mike Trout. Did you?
No, that's
in
exactly.
yours?
That's who I would. That was the other name that I wanted to add, Mike Trout. I think Shohei can eventually get there, but I mean, Mike Trout, and I really, I'm on board with what they should do. With as what she said, they really need to go ahead and just shut him down for the year.
Yes.
Let him get re-healthy. I mean, you're already 11. Well, I think they're 11 games out. Yes, there's a possibility of them maybe getting there, but
they are 9 out of the wild card at the moment.
Yeah, 9 out, 11 out. Sitting fourth, 11 out. I think it's time just to go ahead and say, let's shut him down. Still let him get some light work in, but as far as making it back to try to make an appearance, I think it's just hinders your ball club even more.
For me, I agree with you. I think Stanton makes it. He hit a home run today that never got higher than the front row and landed in the front row. It was a complete laser shot. And you know what? Nelson Cruz is 57 away. It will probably take him 2 years to get there, and he would be, 45, 46 years old?
So you're saying Otis Nixon style?
I think he can do it. That man never ages and just finds a way. So I'm going to say Nelson Cruz makes it as well. And then, yes, of course, Mike Trout would be the third on there. My player of the week, I'm going Homer. Told you I'm going to out-Homer you this week. I'm going with the AL player of the week for Major League Baseball, Luke Voit, who basically came out and saying, listen, I'm upset because they went out and got Anthony Rizzo because I was injured. I feel a little let down, but I'm going to go out there and make sure that they understand that they can't bench me. Unfortunately, now they're in Atlanta and he had to be benched because we don't have the DH. But he's making them make sure that Stanton has to play the outfield so Luke Voit can be the designated hitter. He goes out there, goes 10 of 21, batted .476, 2 home runs and 11 RBI in just 6 games. And most of those were in the Minnesota series where he was just absolutely fantastic. And I love the fact that with Voit being the DH, you get Gallo in left, you get Judge in center, and you get Stanton in right. And you know what you call that? The jumbo package.
So you talked about Nelson Cruz there for a minute, and I had to pull it up, and I'm just thinking about it and looking at some of the ages of some of the oldest players to ever play the game. But thinking about being productive, 90% of these guys in the top 20 are all pitchers. You got some old school players that was well before our time, but Carlton Fisk played until he was 45. Tommy John played, until he was 46. Ichiro played till he was 45. Can you put Nelson Cruz in that same category as being that productive, though?
Because he's played designated hitter almost half of his career. He's not getting the wear and tear on the field. He's only 40. Hank Aaron played till he was 42.
Right.
So are you telling me that Nelson Cruz can't go out there and or I guess he's 41 now, excuse me. He had a birthday a couple months ago. But are you telling me that Nelson Cruz can't go out there and give you 3 at-bats a game?
Well, I mean, he can. That's what I'm saying. But do you think the ball club in this kind of era will keep him around to keep swinging the bat?
If you hit like he's hitting, or he's hit 26 home runs this year, 68 RBIs. He was batting near 300 when he was in Minnesota. He struggled a little bit with Tampa Bay, but he's very productive still. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely paying him. If you're hitting home runs, I'm still paying you.
Yeah,
for sure. How about your series to watch?
I got to say it, and it says Seattle Oakland. It was a great couple games. I also thought about the Tampa Bay Philly. Tampa's sitting there in the lead right now in the AL East. Philadelphia still kind of in the hunt there, with sitting the second to the Atlanta Braves. So I really think those two in the early week. But for me, hands down, has to be number 1 against number 1 as the Giants travel east to take on the Braves. So I think that has got to
Be a
be
good
the weekend
series.
matchup.
Could be a fantastic series. My weekend set: the Yankees and Oakland are in battle for possible playoff spots. I know and what I really love about it, you're going to have to root for the Yankees for 4 games.
I know. It's going to be
part.
so hard.
Absolutely the best part. Also, Tuesday through Thursday, I love the Cincinnati-Milwaukee series. Cincinnati right now up 3-1 in the 5th inning. Can they somehow possibly get their way back? They're going to have to sweep this series to kind of put a little bit of doubt in the Brewers' minds. But that offense for the Reds is just so much fun. Joey Votto, is he? Am I out of line to say he's a MVP candidate in the National League?
In the first part of the year, I'd say the first half probably no, but what he's done here in the second half, I think you've got to possibly put his name in the mix. But there's so many other big names that are doing just as well. So I mean he could easily be a candidate.
Tatis is probably the favorite. He's put up the most ridiculous numbers when he's played, but he's been in and out of the lineup. And if the Padres continue to free fall, does he start losing a little bit of his luster? Freddie Freeman's been ridiculous for Atlanta, and they are leading the division right now, so I think he would be my second favorite. But I think right now, third place for me is Joey Votto. For what he has done to this team, and they've gotten themselves out of nowhere back into this wild card race, and they are a wild card team right now. I don't know. It's just something to think about. I don't think he wins it, but he should be a top contender for sure.
Well, look at what he's done, dude. Ever since we posted that story, him getting kicked out of the game and then apologizing to the little girl that came to watch him play the first time. What I'm trying to remember. Abby, was that her name? I'm trying to remember. I think that's what it was. God. But since he has done that, he has went on a tear. I want to say he has thrown up some unbelievable numbers. So I was looking. Well, I was going to look here. I think, if I remember right.
Well, while you look, let me do the local sports roundup because we're getting close to 7 o'clock and we got a lot of football to get to. As we talked about earlier, the LC volleyball team did go 4-0 while they're in Indiana. They did not drop a set. Today, I'm going to see if I can try to get scores before we're off the air. But Lewiston Soccer is having their season openers, both boys and girls. Girls are hosting Lake City, and the boys went to Lake City today. Both games were at 4:30, so we'll see if we have any final scores by the time we're done. On Thursday, those two teams will go against Coeur d'Alene. Girls will be at home. Again, boys will be on the road. Both of those are at 4:30. And then volleyball will have their season opener. They take on Kellogg at 5:30 and Lakeland at 7. On Friday, you get the season opener for Lewiston football. They take on Kuna at 7 o'clock. And LC Valley, I keep saying Valley. LCSC volleyball takes on Embry-Riddle and Valley City State at 2 and 6, respectively. And then Saturday, you get the Lewiston girls soccer team at Sandpoint at noon. The boys soccer team hosting Sandpoint at noon. And then LC volleyball will take on MSU Northern at 10 a.m. and at Arizona Christian at 2 p.m. So that's your little bit of a roundup. And that'll fill out a bit more as Clarkson schools will start their schedules next week. Did you find that stat yet?
I did, but now it's going to jumble up. There you go. So since Abigail was at the game, Joey Votto was only batting .234. And since that game, he is now batting .316 and slugging over 400. So tell me, just some motivation. I think she adds a huge thing, and it just happened that she was able to motivate the team and motivate Joey Votto. So
and Votto 1 for 2 with a run today. So it is still going strong. And speaking of Nelson Cruz, he is 3 for 4 with an RBI in his game. He is now out of it, as it looks like the Rays might hold on to beat the Phillies. We'll do a full score recap at the end of the show. But right now, we are going to bring in our newest segment. We're going to do a college football pick'em, and we'll probably do a pro pick'em. It's just a little tougher with pros to do on a Saturday, maybe or on a Tuesday, excuse me. Maybe we'll do that as like an extra article on Facebook, where we'll do our picks and then we'll post it, just a little graphic or something. We won't go into detail on those. But we're going to have 5 college football games a week. And I don't know, we'll take turns picking the games on weeks that have more than 5 games. But this week we have 5 games. So that's what we get. We will pick against the spread as of this show. So if the spread changes, I don't care. What we say on the show, that's the spread we're going to use. And I just use ESPN. Just as a balance. So let's go through them. Your first college football game of the year, Nebraska is a 7-point favorite against Illinois. Robert, who you got?
I'm gonna take Nebraska, but let me tell you, Illinois played so hard last year and had a good season. I almost felt bad about taking Nebraska, but right now, as of yesterday, they were favored by 7. So give me Nebraska.
I'm going to take Illinois, maybe not to win straight up, but I'm hoping they cover. They did win at Lincoln for the first time since 1924 last season. Lovie Smith is gone from the Fighting Illini, but 18 of the 22 starters are back. So it's not like the new head coach has nobodies to play with. Again, I think Nebraska can hold on and win this game, but I'm hoping 7 is too much. And with season openers in college football with no real preseason, sometimes teams can sneak in there and get you. How about at 11 o'clock? Nobody is watching this game. But UConn, who did not play at all last season because of COVID and is now an independent, they're not even part of the ACC for football, will be at Fresno State. And Fresno State is a 27.5-point favorite. Is that too much for you not to take Fresno State?
Fresno State's going to run away with it. Do they make and cover the spread? I think so. But it'll be 28, probably, maybe 29 points. But I still give me Fresno State. I think they just obliterate the basketball school.
Yeah, it's so unknown with UConn for not playing last year and switching things up. 27.5 is so much, but I will take Fresno State as well. By the way, that game is at 11 o'clock local time, 10 a.m. for the Nebraska-Illinois game. How about 12:30, first Pac-12 action of the year? Hawaii will go to UCLA, and the Bruins are an 18-point favorite. Who you got?
Give me Hawaii with the points. I think UCLA still wins it, but I think Hawaii covers.
I was so tempted to agree with you. 18 is a lot of points. A stat that I saw in the old Phil Steele College Football Bible, as I was trying to get some stats for the show, and we have no visual knowledge of how college football teams are going to go, so I was going off stats. Chip Kelly has never won a non-conference game with UCLA. He is 0-6. Obviously, they had no non-conference games last year because of COVID, and Pac-12 only played Pac-12. But he's 0-6. He's even 0-4 against the group of 5 teams, which Hawaii is. But Hawaii does struggle on their first game on the road in the season. I'm just going to believe in the Bruins and have them cover, but I'm not excited about that pick. It'll be interesting. Last 2 real quick because we've got a minute. UTEP -10 at New Mexico State. It's at 6:30. Give me New Mexico State not only to cover but to win this game.
I'm going to take UTEP. They're gonna just handily hold New Mexico State down.
By the way, another game that nobody will watch as ESPN has them both on their bottom 10 list. It's great. The final one, Southern Utah at San Jose State. San Jose State's a 22-point favorite at 7 p.m. San Jose State was good last year, went 7-1, only lost the bowl game, so give me them.
Yeah, I'm going to take San Jose State. The only reason why is it's a huge spread, still 22. But here's the thing. odds makers are still in the same bubble as we are. Until we get at least 1 or 2 weeks in, you're going to see some big spreads on some big games. They will start tightening up, over the next week or two, once we get some other games in. So 22 is still a lot to cover, but I think San Jose does it.
Yeah, and I like I said, next week we will have better games because there will be more to choose from than just these 5. And how about this? Winner? Do you want the winner or loser of the week to be able to pick the 5 games the next week?
I can go the winner. I mean, you have to. I think
gets honors.
Yeah, you have to. Yep.
Whoever wins gets to pick the 5 games next week. So that's how we're going to do it.
So we can't. We can't. Then that's the thing. We can't take it off our sheet until we get the weekend.
No, I'll put them down at the bottom and maybe even post them on our Facebook.
I think that'd be cool.
We need more Facebook content. I need to do more Facebook content. You're good at posting things, so I need to add some more on there. All right, let's get in. We started the football half hour a little early because I wanted to get that in. But I just want a reminder, today is our NFC preview. Next week is the AFC preview, which, of course, is a Ravens fan and a Jets fan. That's the conference we mostly watch. And then September 7th, we will do our postseason awards and predictions and team draft. And then the week after that, most likely will be a Monday show because we will both be doing volleyball on Tuesday. And that won't be on the radio since volleyball will be on the radio. We were not on the radio this week just for the fact that my key no longer works. And I haven't gotten access yet. Tate has not gotten back to me today about him giving me access to the room that we need. He said we're good to go. He just won't let me have the key that works. So stupid electronic locks anyways.
Exactly.
All right, let's get into the football news and your 2-minute drill. Robert, take it away.
I think the biggest news coming out of today has to be Travis Etienne is having foot surgery. He has now been placed. Early reports was 12 weeks. Now we know he has hit the IR. He is out for the season, and some sad news for the Jacksonville Jaguars and what they were going to do with him and Trevor Lawrence there, as he was a first-round pick for that ball club.
Yeah, absolutely. Big hit. I think it's obviously good for James Robinson and for those that have him in fantasy. But no, of course, it's a big hit. I was not a big fan of him going to Jacksonville anyways, and Urban Meyer basically calling him the third down back. I think he should have been utilized better than that, but now we won't know until next year. So, I mean, obviously, you don't want any rookie to go down with an injury. You don't want any player to go down with an injury.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he only had, I want to say, like 6 total touches here in the preseason games. So they really didn't get a huge look at what he was capable of doing. He was high on both of our lists to go. We really thought he would have been a good fit with either one of our ball clubs. I think a better fit probably for the Jets, but some sad news coming out of Jacksonville. How about more worse news as the Jets lose Carl Lawson for the season with a torn ACL?
I was so excited to watch him play. I think he was a big piece for that defensive line. Obviously, the biggest free agent that the Jets signed in the offseason. It's CJ Mosley all over again. You get excited for a defensive free agent. And I've watched CJ Mosley play half of a game in 2 seasons. So hopefully that's not the case for Carl Lawson. But big props to Carl. If you have not seen it, he is taking all of this in stride. Not only is he not feeling bad for himself, he's making sure his teammates understand. He's like, dude, I'm good. I'm not dead. I'm going to be here. I'm going to rehab. I'm going to be bigger and better and faster next season. I'll be ready to go, and I'm going to be rooting for my team. And don't worry, I'll be back. So I love his attitude, and I'm just, again, very disappointed and very sad that we're losing all these people in preseason. And this wasn't even a game. It was practice. So I can't even say we don't need preseason. This was just during a training camp. Well, I was against a practice against the Green Bay Packers. Not to blame the Packers, but and with Achilles anyways, I just think that's one of those just fluke injuries.
Yeah, it just sucks as you lost him. The next day, Baltimore Ravens lose LJ Ford for this season. So, I mean, injuries have hit pretty hard here over the
Always.
last couple
It
days.
always
So,
not only do injuries hit hard, COVID's hitting hard. I've seen a lot of teams put players on COVID list. I saw Cole Beasley, who is very anti-vaccine, get placed on. He didn't test positive, but he was a close contact. And I think there's like 5 or 6 teams just today that put players on COVID lists. Cam Newton is missing practices basically all week because there was miscommunication or misunderstanding about the vaccine rule, and because he doesn't have the vaccine, he needs to be quarantined for 5 days. He left on something that the team okayed. It wasn't like he just left the team and then got in trouble for it. The team okayed it, and then I guess they didn't realize, okay, because he left for 1 day, now he has to quarantine for 5, and so he will not be practicing this week. We'll see if Mac Jones takes advantage, maybe. And then the other one, we were not going to get into it big right now because like details are still coming out, and I don't even know if it's big news yet. But ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12, that alliance they've been hinting at is now official. So they're going to be scheduling each other more, I guess. I know they're trying to make it where they have more power. They're trying to counter the SEC, and they're basically going, we won't plunder your division, your conference, if you don't plunder ours. I think is the whole alliance. We'll be nice to you if you be nice to us. I don't know. How about preseason week 2? And while I was at the Tribune last night, I saw a stat that just made me laugh. It doesn't matter. It doesn't tell you anything about this season, but I'm a numbers guy and I loved it. There are 12 teams in the AFC right now that are undefeated in the preseason. There are none in the NFC.
mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, it's the top 3 teams in each division in the AFC that are all undefeated, at least 2-0. Pittsburgh is 3-0. Again, wins and losses mean absolutely nothing. It's just a funny stat. And 15 of the 16 AFC teams have a positive score differential in their 2 games. Jacksonville is the only one in red. That's where I noticed it, was how green the AFC was. Only one team in the NFC is a positive score differential, and that is your San Francisco 49ers. So mark it down here first if preseason matters and everyone's freaking out. We're going to have Jacksonville and San Francisco in the Super Bowl because those are the 2 that stand out, right?
No, Baltimore Ravens, man. 19 consecutive wins in a row. You gave me bad time about being a homer last week of them winning 19 straight preseason games. That's just it. When was the last time? When was the last time your team won and went to the Super Bowl?
Very, very long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. So just because
when was the last time I ever went in a serious manner? The Jets won a preseason game. I flipped some shit to Corey and Haley that the Jets beat the Packers. I don't care.
I was wondering if that was going to happen because I texted you. I was up at the bowling alley in Post Falls, and I'm like, oh my God, the Jets are doing unbelievable. And watching a couple of the plays, I'm like, dang, they look pretty darn good for Packers, what they were doing. But the Packers didn't play anybody, any of their main guys.
But I will bring up, what is your biggest takeaway from week 2 of the preseason?
For me, I think has to be, how these ball clubs are handling all of their COVID stuff. I mean, so many players in and out, and everybody is wanting to keep their players healthy, wanting them. So if they're being extremely coherent about who is being out and about, and how Baltimore, and the reason I read it is because Baltimore has basically kept their guys in their facility and they're not letting them go out doing anything in Owen Mills area. So, I like the idea of what all these ball clubs are doing because they want to get and keep the fans there. They want to keep the fans in the stands, and whatever way they have to keep their players healthy to do that. I think that's the biggest thing. And you look at some of the names that have not played this week or last week because of that. They're just really watching that. And I think NFL is doing a great job along with these ball clubs.
So many starting quarterbacks have not even seen the field.
Mm-hmm.
in these two games. Which kind of just points out, does preseason even need to exist anymore? I'm still under the belief that in the next 5 years, we will have a 18-game regular season with 2 bye weeks and no preseason, or 1 preseason game maybe. That's just where I believe things are going, and they have to wait for the next CBA and all of that to start figuring that out. But as somebody that is having to fix a database for the bowling league because they've added a week this week, I am setting it up because I believe that will be the case in a few years. My biggest takeaway, again, homerism is alive and well. Again, preseason stats don't matter. Preseason wins and losses don't matter. But Zach Wilson, baby, how good does he look? Now, he has not played a number 1 defense yet, and the offensive line is not getting pressured as much as they're going to be. I'm still not saying the Jets are going to be good this year. We'll talk about them next week and where I think they're going to finish. But the poise of this kid, the rocket arm, I think, is what is getting me. Because everyone said, going into the draft, oh, he makes some unbelievable plays off script. He is standing in the pocket and just gunning this ball right now. He just looks so good. I hope it continues into the regular season. Again, I'm not letting my hype get too overblown, but he has been the best player, or the most the player that's had the biggest impact to me in his 2 games of preseason. Do you agree or disagree?
Listen, I haven't seen you so excited. You weren't even this excited when Sam Darnold got drafted to your team.
No.
So, which tells me, this guy is really good.
I like Sam Darnold, but he was a USC guy. The last time the Jets signed a USC guy, he ran into the center's butt. So I was a little hesitant about Sam Darnold. But no, just watching Zach Wilson, I'm very, very excited. And it's going to blow up in my face because that's what the Jets do. He did look
good the other day, but I haven't seen you this excited about your ball club.
Well, I don't know what has happened. The Yankees have won 10 straight. They're in the lead to try to win 11 straight. The Jets look competent. The Knicks made the playoffs last year.
Listen,
the Kraken have never lost a game in franchise history.
I figured out what it is. Haley must be feeding you good dinners. You've put on a couple extra pounds. You're feeling good about your teams. I think that's got to be it. That's got to be it.
I don't know what it is. You can give credit to whatever you're going to give credit to. Hopefully it makes bowling even that much better this year. But let's get into the NFC. And let's start with you, Robert. Give me your top storyline in the National Football Conference.
Oh, NFC. Boy, for me, it has to be the injuries. I want to know who's going to be coming back and making a statement after being injured last year. We had Dak sitting out, Saquon Barkley. I mean, those two really stick out in my mind, and we'll talk about the NFC East a little bit more, where I think you kind of disagree with one of my players, and there's a reason why. And I think it's because of Saquon Barkley that's going to I'm going to give you a player I want you to watch. But I think that's the big one. How do these guys come back?
I didn't have a problem with.
Yeah, I think we'll get into that. But I think that's what it is. I want to know, because you said Dak hasn't thrown a pass in a game yet in the preseason, and I want to know how he handles himself. How does J.J. Watt do? He's still sitting on the PUP list. I mean, he got injured last year, and Arizona went out and got him and won and playing. I want to know how these big names really change the NFC, because the NFC, I think, is the weaker of the 2 divisions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The NFC East is the weakest of all of the divisions. The NFC East and the NL East right now are the same. It is just brutal. My storyline is kind of in that same vein, but I'm focused on the quarterbacks. I want to know what happens with the 2 quarterbacks that we heard all offseason were unhappy in the NFC. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Have they mended enough fences to be able to play as a team? especially Aaron Rodgers. I think Russell Wilson was fine. He kind of just threw it out there about being unhappy with management and wanting more say as far as the players that come into the team. I don't think that was as much of a shot to the players as it was Aaron Rodgers going, I want out. I don't like what's happening here. And he was very much adamant. And he even says when he came back, he's like, he was 50-50 about returning. And if Jeopardy offered him the job, which I guess they still could because they're getting rid of the new Jeopardy host already, which we are not getting into on this show, he might still take that job. So I'm very curious about that. But it's the quarterback battles that I'm very curious about. And it's not even just the rookies. So you have the rookie ones. Obviously, you have Justin Fields and Andy Dalton. And Chicago already saying that Andy Dalton will not start the third preseason game because he's our starter week 1 and we're letting him rest. How long until it is Justin Fields' team? I don't think Justin looked that good in his second preseason game. But again, it's preseason and there's going to be learning curves. And then San Francisco. I still don't like how Trey Lance has looked, but I always have thought he is the biggest project out of any of the first round picks and needed to sit the longest. But Jimmy Garoppolo looks like his confidence is gone. Like you almost have to start Trey Lance, not because it's good for Trey Lance, but because Jimmy Garoppolo is so broken by them drafting a quarterback. It's shocking to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think Washington, for me, Washington and New Orleans are the biggest storylines for me. I mean, what do you do with Hinkie? I mean, is he the guy that's going to help with that ball club? New Orleans and New Orleans. Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill. Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill.
It's not. And I hate that they're still arguing about this. I know you gave Taysom Hill the most ridiculous contract of all time, which was just a salary cap dump. But Winston looked fantastic yesterday. I think he's the better quarterback. If you can keep him away from the turnovers, he has always been very good. It's just in Tampa Bay, he was trying to force too much. So can Sean Payton calm him down and make him understand, which he has said in interviews since then, that he is learning behind Drew Brees about, you know what, sometimes throwing it into the stands is the right play. So you can still have the ball the next time. Taking a sack sometimes is the correct play. You don't want to take the sack, but you would rather take the sack than just throwing it up and praying. So I think he is maturing. I think he is getting better. And the fact that this is still a quarterback competition is insane to me.
The one thing that I am out of the quarterback battles that you've thrown up there that I'm still shocked about, I think those two are the bigger stories. But how Nagy can still say that Andy Dalton is the main guy when Justin Fields is throwing up numbers that are just unbelievable for a rookie preseason. And then, yes, I know preseason, you don't see anything, but he's looked unbelievable. He has looked poised. He's looked like he is meant to be in that offense.
No, I agree. And maybe Matt Nagy is just a garbage coach. I mean, everyone just ripped on Trubisky. Go look at Trubisky's numbers. Trubisky was a okay quarterback for the Chicago Bears. If you just look at his numbers and the way he played. Did he throw interceptions at opportune times? Sure. He was a young quarterback. But he obviously just sliced and diced them in this latest preseason game. Again, preseason doesn't matter too much. But I think Trubisky got a terrible rap. And right. I am hoping going behind Josh Allen and showing he can be a team player, I think Trubisky is going to get another starting gig in the next year or two. I think he is the next Ryan Tannehill. And I'm rooting for him. I would like to see him succeed, but I think Matt Nagy could be the first coach fired.
I think
coming into the season. All right, we are going to now go division by division. We're going to give you the team that we're let's do breakout player first.
Okay.
Which, again, the keyword on breakout, Robert. That the X factor to decide the division. And then I want to know the team that you are most confident in predicting, whether it's a team that you just know is going to run away with the division or that team just sucks. It can go either way, and then we will give you our order 1 through 4. We won't give you records or anything. We will save that for the September 7th edition of the show. But let's start with the NFC West. And Robert, give me your breakout player.
So for me is I'm all about what the injuries was. So give me Nick Bosa. Give me Nick Bosa getting 12 sacks. Write it down. 12 sacks. I think he is the guy this year.
Hold on. 12 sacks. Okay.
Yep. I think he is going to be a dominant force this year. I mean, he didn't get a full season last year. He is quite disruptive. He is what, besides getting the quarterback situation figured out there in San Francisco, I think he is going to be the main guy, and I think he's going to have a monster year. Whether they move him in one side or the other, like they'd like to bounce him around exactly where they did in college, to even playing nose tackle. I think he is just that good of a disruptive player.
Mine is Robert Woods, wide receiver for the Rams, and he is a good receiver. He's been very, very good for the Rams for years, but now he gets Matthew Stafford, and Matthew Stafford, when he was with Detroit, loved Kenny Golladay. In the 2 years that Golladay was healthy, he was targeted almost 120 times. Robert Woods is his new Kenny Golladay. I think Robert Woods sets career records this year and puts up ridiculous numbers. I don't know where fantasy experts have him ranking wise, but he is that wide receiver that I want to get on all of my fantasy teams, wherever I can get him. I think he is just going to blow it out of the water and be fantastic. My X factor that will help decide the division. I put decision on that one. That's great. Is, can San Francisco stay healthy? You brought up Nick Bosa. We had the same issues with Garoppolo and the 49ers. I think after coming off the Super Bowl, everyone is like, oh, the team that loses the Super Bowl has a hangover. Well, they had a hangover in a completely different way with how injured they were. And I think if they can be healthy, they might be a favorite in this division.
Yeah, but they've got to, like you said, they've got to stay healthy. I think Los Angeles is just way too strong. I mean, prove me wrong. Trey Lance, step up, do something, or get Jimmy G out of there and let Lance play. I still think Jimmy G is going to be the starter there, but we will see what that entails over the next couple of weeks before we have start. For me, I think the X factor, and it goes back to what you said for the quarterbacks and how unhappy Russell Wilson was with the offense and how they were game planning. So for me, it's got to be, is Seattle going to balance the offense, get Seattle some help, let Wilson do more of the involvement in the playing, in the schemes and the plans, because he wasn't happy. Let's get it figured out. And I think he's got to be more involved. So yes, I'm going to give a little help and a little love to the Seattle fans, but I think that's the main thing. They have to figure out, what they're going to do.
All right. Give me your order in the NFC West, along with that team that you're dead set that they're going to be in that position.
For me, it's got to be the LA Rams. I'm just so on LA. I think they run away with the division, and they're going to win that division by at least, I think, 2 or 3 games. So wow. I think they're just that good. I'm going to keep Seattle right there. I think they'll have a good chance at the wild card. And I'm still on Kyler Murray. I like what Kyler Murray is doing. They've got a decent receiving core, but I think San Francisco has, like you said, has to stay healthy. I think Nick Bosa is going to be that swing factor. So give me them in order: the Rams, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the 49ers.
My team I'm most confident in is the Cardinals, finishing last in this division. Not that they're bad. I can see them winning 7, 8, 9. They could even finish 9 and 8. I think they're going to be good, but I think the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers are just in a class of their own right now. especially if the 49ers can stay healthy. I'm going to put the 49ers third just because I'm worried about Garoppolo at the moment and the way he's looked in the preseason, just mentally and that confidence level. So I'm going to put them third. Give me Seattle second, but I'm with you. I think the Rams are the class. They're a true Super Bowl contender in the NFC. And I'm kind of rooting for that just because I would love to see Matthew Stafford actually be on a very good team and have a run. Because I love Matthew Stafford and I love the way he plays. And I hope he's able to get a good run here with the Rams. Let's move on to the NFC North. My breakout player, and I hate to say it, I said it all offseason. I was begging for them to free Aaron Jones. Free that man. Bring him to the Jets. But instead, he stayed with the Packers, and he's going to be in trouble because my breakout player is A.J. Dillon. Watching him run, he's just a big bowling ball of a dude. And Aaron Jones is as well, but I think this is a true two-headed monster, and A.J. Dillon is going to be a big player for the Packers as they get a little bit more run game, which takes a little bit of that pressure off of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I agree. I like what what that ball club had. You had three big running backs that were just crushing the ball all the time, holding it, plowing the guys over. So it's a little shocking that they're going to still keep three there. But I do like him there. But I'm going to go with a team with a player, and that's a receiver there from Minnesota, Adam Thielen. Adam just did not look good this last year. I think a lot of it had to do with Justin Jefferson and what he brought to the ball club. And so I think honestly, those two could easily be the number one receiving duo probably in the NFC. And I'm saying and thinking of
That's
a
fair.
lot of different,
that's fair.
but
Yeah.
I think, you've got Robert Woods there. I think in LA, he could easily be in the number one in one conversation, but I think Adam has figured out how to play against, going to be able to play against these defenses when Justin Jefferson's going to get a lot of the looks and now going to be defended a little bit more. So I think they're going to be the best guys there. So Adam Thielen, he's got to be the breakout guy this year.
Yeah, I can see that. My X factor we've talked about already is how long until Fields takes the field. It can't be long at all. What about you? What do you got?
You talked about Matthew Stafford making a difference in LA. Give me the flip side of that trade. Can Jared Goff help revitalize the Detroit Lions? I mean, can he throw to Jefferson and Thielen can he throw to?
He can when he's throwing it out of bounds.
Yeah, I know. I had the wrong depth chart. Sorry. But you look at what that ball club has. Can he make a difference? I mean, they've got DeAndre Swift. Rashard Perriman is there now. So I think he could be the number one target for Goff there. I'm excited to see what happens. But I think they need one more receiver. I really think Detroit is one receiver away from being a decent team in that division.
One receiver, a couple more linemen, better defensive players, a better quarterback. Yeah, there are a few pieces. All right, give me your order and then that team that you're most confident about.
Well, I'm going to keep the Lions down 4. I think Goff does make a huge presence in Detroit, but it's not going to be enough for him to get up and out. I love what Justin Fields is doing in preseason. I'm hoping he takes over the reins within, half the year. But it might be the time when Matt Nagy is fired during the middle of the year.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that probably in the weeks to come. I think Nagy, I agree with you. Nagy might be one that's going to be gone. This might shock you, but give me the Packers number 2 and the Vikings number 1. I just think there was way too much stuff going on in Green Bay this year, but I think I think Jefferson and Thielen is going to be a huge asset for Minnesota, and I think they're going to end up winning in the NFC North.
In Kirk Cousins, Robert trusts. For me, I'm still having Detroit 4th. I'm gonna have Chicago 3rd. Just I think there's a lot of turmoil in Chicago, but they're just a better team than Detroit, so I have them there. I do have Minnesota 2nd, and I'm the most confident in Green Bay. Yes, they had off-season turmoil, and will Aaron Rodgers play or not? And the team is like the fan base was losing their mind. That's still possibly the most talented team in the NFC. Tampa, it's talent-wise, it's them and Tampa Bay, and I think it's not close, especially in this division. So I think they're still going to win the division. All right, let's move on to the NFC South. And for me, I'm hoping, and actually now looking at it, we're both high on one team, apparently, for the same reason. I'm going Sam Darnold. As a Jets fan, I want to see Sam do well. He had no weapons in New York. There are people that have told me, oh, the Jets have no weapons this year. It's like, did you look at the team last year? And it was Crowder and me were the two receivers that Sam Darnold were able to throw to. So now you put him in Carolina with some good receivers. Get Robbie Anderson, another former Jet in there. And then your guy, Christian McCaffrey, coming off of the injury. Sam Darnold loves to check down, and now you have the best check down option in all of football. I think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why Christian McCaffrey coming back. He is the running back of all running backs. He can catch the ball. He better catch the ball if his dad was one of the best receivers to play for Denver. But yeah, I think that he's just that guy that's going to make a difference, and it's going to make Sam Darnold better. And like you said, Sam just didn't have anybody to do anything with, and I think this is going to be a proving season for Carolina.
I'm fascinated by the Panthers this year, and I hate that they start the season off with the Jets because I'm very fascinated, but I don't want it to blow up in the Jets' face. Your X factor is McCaffrey, and if he's able to rebound. Mine, we talked about already, quarterbacks in New Orleans. Can they get in a groove? I do believe both will be used throughout the year, even though I think Winston should be the starter. They're going to have packages just like they did when Breeze was there. Taysom Hill is going to see the field. All right, I'll do my order this time so I can blame you for copying me because we have the same 4.
Well, just say it. We have the same 4.
It's actually kind of surprising to me that you agreed because I thought it was a little bit controversial and maybe a less popular opinion, but I have Carolina Panthers 2nd. In this division. I think Sam Darnold and them getting Christian McCaffrey back mainly is going to be a big deal. Their defense is garbage, and they're going to have to win games first team to 40 sometimes. So I don't think they're a playoff team, but I don't trust New Orleans to win games, even though I do like Winston, and I think he is an okay quarterback. They had to get rid of too much talent to get under the cap, and Michael Thomas might not even play this year the way his injury just refuses to heal up. So there's too much question marks there. And Atlanta, I think, is just rebuilding. It would be nice to see Matt Ryan have one more good year. I just don't see it. So Atlanta is my 4th place team, New Orleans 3rd, Carolina 2nd, and then obviously Tampa Bay, easily the most confident I have in any of these positions, but Buccaneers will win this division easy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, how do you replace a legend in New Orleans? And so I think that's a big thing for me, why they're 3. And you hit it on the head. Arthur Smith and those guys rebuilding down in Atlanta. So just because Carolina is getting back Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold, I think that is an interesting combination, and it will be all year long. I just don't think that they will be able to stay ahead of Tom Brady and what that ball club can do with Godwin and them. So, for me, it's going to be Tampa, Carolina. I think Carolina could have a chance of getting one of the wild card positions. So don't count them out.
All right, let's go to the NFC East, which I think is the most intriguing. Well, I guess the NFC West is probably the most intriguing because at least all of those teams are good. The NFC East is intriguing because all 4 teams are so bad, you just don't know which one's going to survive and win the division and make everyone mad because they won the division at 8-9, and it's going to be a mess. But my breakout player, we kind of mentioned him a second ago, and I feel bad for Ryan Fitzpatrick for this, but Taylor Heineke, who was fantastic in that playoff game last year, I think he's going to end up getting the starting role at some point this season and leading the team to win the division. That's a spoiler for my rankings. They paid him in the offseason. I know they brought in Fitzpatrick to be the starter right now, but that's just what happens is Fitzpatrick looks great and has Fitzmagic for 4 or 5 games, then falls off the cliff. Then they will make the switch, and off Heineke will go. So Taylor Heineke is my breakout player in the East. What about you?
Well, and I think he's going to do so much better, just because of, finally getting his running back there. Give me Daniel Jones. I think Daniel needs a great help out this over the next couple of games. I think he needs Saquon to help him out. This is a guy that was drafted in 2019, so he's still young, hasn't only played, I forget how many total games he's played, but I think if he can stay 100% healthy, you have Saquon Barkley that stays healthy. Barkley can easily be that same dynamic check down person that Christian McCaffrey. And I think that's just going to boost the confidence of Daniel Jones. I mean, I think it will be a huge asset for that team. Galladay being there, Sterling Shepard being there, they need a little help. They did go out and get Evan Ingram, or have Evan Ingram. Hopefully he produces a little bit more than he did last year. But I think it's time for Daniel to step up. I really do.
I believe if he's going to step up, it has to be this year. I just have zero faith in the kid. I don't think he's the right fit for the Giants. I don't think he's that good. I hope he could definitely prove me wrong, but I just don't see it. My X factor in the East is Dak Prescott. Can he stay healthy? Will he be healthy? Obviously, we're not seeing them in the preseason. Reports have been he's throwing a little bit, but it's not been fantastic. He was great in the 4 games he got to play last year, and I would love to see him win comeback player of the year. But there's just as much of a chance that he gets re-injured or overcompensates on something and re-injures something else. So if Dallas wants to win this division, he has to stay healthy the whole year.
Yeah, I think you're 100%. The other, for me, I think the big X factor is, can this division finally get out of being the worst division in the NFL? Can they be good enough to make a name for themselves? And I just don't know. Like you said, and then on that same breath, can Dak Prescott bring this division with him? Because of how good he was there in those 4 games. Can Jalen Hurts be that person in Philadelphia that brings this ball club back to playing well? So I mean that for me, can they be not the bottom division in the entire NFL?
No, I mean, name one division that's even close.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
The only one I could see possibly is the AFC South. I mean, Tennessee's good. Indianapolis is good. Tennessee is garbage, and Jacksonville is rebuilding. So if Wentz, who might come back in week 1, which is shocking to me, but if he has his issues and they just use their backup quarterback all year, then you could have 3 really crappy teams in there. So that's the only one that's really even close. Every other division is good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really want to see what the AFC East does. You know, we know that Buffalo is good. We're both high on what the Jets are doing this year. I
But
mean,
not
like I
that
said,
high. Not
but
that
not that
high.
high. But I mean, they could easily be that same name too. So, I it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what they can do.
All right, give me your ranking.
For me, I give me it's got to be Philadelphia. I like
Yes.
Jalen Hurts, but then I'm going to go Washington. The Giants, like I said, they have to prove something, and Daniel and Saquon have to show some real growth. And then Dallas is the Dallas has to be the other team that will take on and be the number one with Dak Prescott. Feed Zeke, and so it will be there. So not sure what Randy's doing. I don't know if he's worried about what's going on with Albies. Is that what you're worried about? Are you worried about Albies swinging and missing there? Is that what you're doing?
No. Well, I just had to grab something. Don't worry about it.
All right.
You get
What
through
about
your
your
rankings?
yeah? What about your rankings?
Philadelphia easily last place. That's the team I'm most confident in predicting. I don't trust Daniel Jones, so I have them third. I would like to see Dak Prescott stay healthy all year, and even if he does, I think they finish second. I'm in on Washington, man. I think their defense is unbelievable, and I think Tyler Heineke is going to have a fantastic season.
Ooh, 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 ooh. As the
What the hell was that?
Atlanta Braves are making things interesting here. The bottom of the ninth, bases are loaded. They do trail by 2. Albies gets a infield single. So
Now my chair's all stuck on the thing. I'm running out of here so fast because I knew we didn't have time. All right, get to your Spokane Sharks. Let's get into the sports that don't get enough airtime.
all right. So how about the Shock? They are getting ready to head off to the playoffs this week, and they did not play this last week, and so they will take on the number 3 Frisco Fighters as they do qualify for 6th in league. That game will happen on Saturday, a 5:05 start. I have not been able to find out if SWX is covering that game or KSKN. We'll make that noted and posted. Hopefully that game gets televised in your local area here in the Northwest. First 2 meetings were not nice for the Spokane Shock taking on the Fighters. They lost the first one in Spokane by 3 and then lost the second meeting in Frisco by 11. You running out had really changed up your chair, I tell you what. So my question to you before we get to the rest of the bracket, as I love the format of the bracket, so I want to talk a second about that. But my believe it or not, do you think Spokane is a one and done?
Yeah, they've lost 3 or 4 in a row. No,
4 in a row.
I don't see that. Yeah, they're not. They're done.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. I do like the way that they do their bracket in the IFL. They're seated. Everybody is seated in this, and so that seating stays with you. And so in round 1, team 1 will take on team 8, and so on all the way down. The Shock, again, are number 6. They take on Frisco. But once you get to round 2, the highest seed left takes on the next highest seed. So it's not a bracket format. Once you're assigned to the bracket, you go down. No, you get realigned. So if the number 1 seed gets upset against Sioux Falls then takes on the next highest number bracket, or number seed. So I do like that. So it will be interesting to see what happens with the Shock here in week 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of fair for this kind of a deal where your road to the championship can't open up because of an upset. Now you're playing a weaker team. If you got in there, just barely snuck into the playoffs, you're gonna have to go out and beat all the best teams to get to the finals. So I'm okay with that. Let's get to the AFL because they're getting ready to do their playoffs. This last week was so insane. We had so many games come down to the last minute, last 30 seconds. You had Port Adelaide, who holds on to a 2-point win over Western, which knocked Western out of the top 4, which was really, really big. Brisbane gets just enough over West Coast to move into the top 4. They win that 125-87, but it was so big because they end up winning that percentages that we've been talking about all year. They got 133.3. Western was at 132.8. It was like literally 1 point is what they got the difference of there. I think they scored again to kind of expand that a little bit, but they were literally just 1 point difference could have changed the tide there at 1 point. Calm down. Calm down. You spoiler.
Oh, that was close.
They're up 2 anyways. Calm down. If they score 1 run, I don't care. Calm down. Turn off the TV. Don't look, because you're going to spoil it for me, and I'm going to get grumpy. Melbourne down 39 at half, sir. Down 32 after 3. Come all the way back to win 81-77. So they win the minor premiership, which basically means the best record in the regular season. Geelong will get second. They finished third. Because of that loss. Thoughts on the game?
Dude, down 39 and down 32, and then all of a sudden it just was, and for them to kick the ball out of bounds on the last 30 seconds left, kick it, you get a mark, kick it out in a little bit farther. I mean, if I remember right, I think it was Rowan. There was Rowan that was kicking the ball, and Rowan's got a good leg. Kick that ball deep.
He tried to get cute and keep it down the side, and it never got back in bounds.
No. And he was a good almost 3 feet out of bounds. So, I mean, a meter out of bounds. And so I tell you what, Chris Scott has to be one of the most pissed off coaches after that play by far. So, it will be interesting to see how things go. So this will be my first time for the playoffs. Yes. I'm excited to watch this over the next couple of weeks transpire.
Well, your team was not the only team to blow a big lead. Hawthorn had a 5-goal lead with under 9 minutes to go and tied.
And that's the thing. Geelong had 11, notched 11 goals in a row, and it just how do you
it evaporates so quick in that sport. They score a lot of points. So here's how it gets set, and I will give you kind of the way they do the playoffs. I love the way AFL does the playoffs. So the top 4 play each other. The winner gets a bye in the next round and moves into what basically is their semifinals. The loser of that top 4 will then play the winner of whoever wins out of the bottom 4's matchups. So getting into that top 4 is very, very important. But if you lose to that top team, you have a chance to get all the way back. God damn it, Chapman. Driving me nuts.
You notice I was extremely.
Did they call a foul at some point?
Yeah, did you see that? How I was not jumping up in my chair honestly, like I did before.
I legit am trying not to look at you anyways right now, just to get any kind of spoilers from you. So you get Melbourne versus Brisbane, 1 versus 4. The loser will face the winner of the 5-8 matchup, Western and Essendon. Obviously, the winner will go to the preliminary finals, which again is basically the semis. And then you get the 2-seed Port Adelaide versus the 3-seed Geelong. The winner goes to the preliminary finals, and the loser will face the winner of the 6-seed Sydney and 7-seed GWS matchup. Your times for those games, 2 of them are decent. 2 of them are watch them in the morning. But Friday at 2:50 a.m., Robert, set your alarm. Port Adelaide versus Geelong. Friday at 10:20 p.m. Pacific time, it's Sydney versus GWS. Saturday at 2:30 a.m. is Melbourne versus Brisbane. And Saturday at 10:30 p.m. is Western versus Essendon. So those are your 4 playoff matchups. Next week, we'll have some more fun. And the week after that, and I don't even know who I'm rooting for because Hawthorn's out, but I'm excited to see what you think of some playoff footy.
It's going to be interesting, especially when my team plays at 2:50 in the morning and I have to go to school that next day. And so, I mean, I can't even call in sick that day. So I won't even get to watch it until probably Friday evening if I'm lucky. So
if you just go to bed, like right when you get home Thursday night, you might wake up in time to wake up, watch the game, and then go to work.
yeah, that might work, but you never know. It'll be rough.
How'd golf go?
How did golf go? Well, let me tell you, it was interesting as a lot of the games, we had even Little League get affected by it, but how about Tropical Storm Henry puts a damper on the Northern Trust as they do postpone Sunday's round to Monday. So Monday's action had some golf in it. I was able to watch a little bit of it. But Tony Finau wins his first major in 5 years. After 142 PGA starts, he finally gets his next win. And in that 142 starts, he does have 8 runner-ups, 3 of them win by playoff losses, 39 top 10s. And so he's had a kind of a mediocre. He's been that guy of, can you finally win again? That kind of feeling. And so Tony does do quite well. He shoots 20 under and wins in the first playoff hole against Cam Smith. So great tournament there. This was the first tournament of the playoffs, and our buddy Joel Damon comes up just short. He shoots 8 under, has a great tournament. Really not a bad tournament whatsoever. He finishes tied for 31st. When I looked on Monday, he had hey, I haven't said anything. I haven't even looked yet.
I just realized it was Freddie Freeman coming up. Oh my God.
Well, he's got to have a base hit. So, and so Joel is done for the season. He does finish up right at 76th place in the world in the FedEx Coin. He does finish in 27 tournaments. He has a win and 3 top 10s. I think that has got to be great accolades for his career.
Yeah, it was a good season for Joel. Obviously, he does not move on in the playoffs, which is a weird format in golf, anyways. Mm-hmm. What do you got? The BMW Championship is next week for the PGA. How did bowling go?
Bowling went pretty well. I know Sean went. I'm the same way. Sean Rash wins the PBA Chesapeake Open. They're back there in Baltimore area on his birthday. Happy 39th birthday to him. He knocks off number 1 Swede Tom Doherty and wins that that match 228 to 212. Had to have a strike in the first ball of the 10th to.
Speaking of needing a strike, come on.
But Darren Tang, one of the guys from the house, he ends up winning the points final for the summer tour and takes home an extra $20,000 for being the top bowler in the men's side. But how about the PWBA making a stop in Spokane, the Greater Spokane Open for the girls? Daniel McEwen wins her second title of the season up in Spokane. And McEwen had to strike on her final ball to knock off Liz Johnson 203 to 192. She does pick up a $10,000 check in that one. But that wasn't the match that I was really concerned about. How about Kelly Kulick defeating Dasha Koyavalola 178 to 115? That's a rough game for a pro to have a 115 game, but it was great to see the women's tournament up in Spokane.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Obviously, I would like to have been up there to actually watch it. I know they're coming back next year, so we'll have to try to make a trip. Hopefully, COVID is gone by then. Maybe, maybe. Hold my breath because bases are loaded and it's a full count, and this game has been nuts. I really thought this game was over when I left the room. I thought that was strike 3. Richie thought it was strike 3. He just messaged me saying that was not a foul tip. He has rewound it 20 times and did this whole slow-mo. I left the room because I was going to do something funny and then came back and the at-bat was still going. I went,
And look at this dude. This dude is worried about what's going on.
yes,
Hands on his head. And yeah, and then you get Chapman.
Mini play-by-play. Hold on.
I'm not saying a word.
Taking their sweet ass time. Come on, Peralta, please. Jesus, where are we? Ryan Blaney won in Michigan. It was a pretty fun race. You get Daytona next week, which will be the last race before the playoffs, because NASCAR cares more about entertainment than good racing. Fucking Freeman, stop fouling it off. I'm so glad we're not in the studio because the cussing is going to come out here in a minute. I was in a good mood like an hour ago, wasn't I? I forget what I felt like.
I think so.
How about some wrestling?
Okay.
SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver were this weekend. I said earlier, CM Punk came back to AEW. You just want to see a really cool wrestling moment, go watch his return video on YouTube. There are people in the crowd crying. Hold your damn breath. God. I'm going to end the show early right now. Robert's driving me nuts. What did you think of SummerSlam, sir? Look down while you're talking about it. Don't look at the TV.
I think the best moment probably for me, there was some good matches, but it was great to see Becky Lynch back, the man back there. A little weird to see how they did it, but it was interesting. And so,
look up.
No, and then I didn't get a chance to see CM Punk in his return, but the end SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar.
Now we're really over, right? I swear I left the room and this game was over. So
it's
really
over
now. So the broom that I went and got now counts, right? Jesus.
I guess so. But I think Becky Lynch, and I didn't put it as one of my matches, but Becky Lynch coming back in there.
That match was garbage.
It was garbage. I don't think it was best, but to see the reaction of the fans of her coming back, I think it was awesome.
Yes. Top 3 matches. Did you say that?
I have not.
I blacked out. So
my number 3 has to be the Raw Women's 3-way match, the Triple Threat. Number 2 for me. I love what they're doing with Damian Priest. Priest knocking off Sheamus finally. Thank you, Lord. But give me RK Bro. There's something intriguing about what Randy Orton and Riddle are doing right now.
The 3 most dangerous letters in all of wrestling. RK Bro. Yep. That match wasn't very good, but I like the storyline. My top 3 matches of the weekend: Roman Reigns and John Cena was a fantastic main event for the show. I thought they put on a very good show. Obviously, Brock Lesnar returning at the end of it, looking all weird, was pretty cool. Edge and Seth Rollins, I knew it was going to be a show stealer, and it was. Edge's Brood entrance stole the show for me. But, and I know, Robert, you have not watched this. You need to go watch this the moment we're done.
Okay.
And then message me.
All right.
I told everybody in our preview that if you think wrestling is fake, which of course it is. It's scripted and it's pre-planned, but the moves can hurt. But if you want a match that looks the most legit, go watch Ilya Dragunov versus Walter on NXT TakeOver 36. It's for the UK Championship. You have to watch the promo package before and learn about the story of their first match where they had no crowd. I still wish this had a bigger crowd to it. But the noise of the chops that were handed down by Walter, and you have to see the pictures of Ilya Dragunov after this match. I'll look it up while Robert does his really, really quick this week in sports history. Oh my God, it was fantastic. But all right, sir, we're gonna run a couple minutes late, and that's okay because we spent 10 minutes of me having a heart attack. But
yeah, we'll keep it short with a few things. 1921, Ty Cobb is the 4th player to get his 3,000 hit. He is the youngest ever to get to 3,000 hits. 1970, Roberto Clemente compiles his record, 2nd straight 5-hit game. In 1982, Seattle Mariners pitcher Gaylord Perry is ejected for throwing a spitball. Nolan Ryan gets his 5,000th batter in 1989. Also in 1989, a couple of days later, Pete Rose is suspended from baseball for life for gambling. They need to let him back in. That's all I'm going to say about that. 2006, after a day signing, 1 day signing with San Francisco, the GOAT officially retires from the NFL. Jerry Rice retires as a 49er, and that happened in 2006. I kept them short this week. I had to.
I appreciate it. You got a trivia question?
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about Roberto Clemente having some 5-hit games.
Mm-hmm.
So who has the most 5-hit games in their career?
Pete Rose.
Very good, sir. There, you notice how I tied both of them together, right? I'm a Pete Rose fan.
Do you have a list?
Yes, I do.
Is Ichiro top 5?
Yes, he is. Good job. You are on a roll today. I just have to.
Because I almost said Ichiro.
Yeah. So, do you know how many Pete Rose had? I'm gonna give you that one.
That I don't know.
Pete Rose ended up with 10, and one of the greatest left-handers, and we've talked about the left-handers to ever play the game, Tony Gwynn. He had 9, and then we had 6 of them with 7 5-hit games. Ichiro being one of them. Dave Winfield, Paul Molitor, Johnny Damon, Rod Carew, and Mr. Roberto Clemente.
And just to finish the show, answering the question from your parents, why is NASCAR interested in entertainment? It's just for the fact that they are. That's why there's a playoff system instead of their old system, because they want people to watch the last race instead of it maybe being, the champion already of being won by then. That's why they moved Daytona to be the last race before the playoffs, because God forbid, you win by racing talent. Let's put the one race that can be completely decided off complete luck. Did you get into the wreck or not? And don't get me started on the stages. It is all based off of trying to make the races more entertaining. It's less about skill and actual, driver talent. And it's more about putting on a good show, which I get. Sports are entertainment, which is why I'm a wrestling fan, because they hit more of the entertainment than the sport. But yeah, that's why. And honestly, I didn't get to watch a lot of Michigan. I watched the last 30 or 40 laps, and it was a good race. It was just, I was upset with Chase Elliott for his stupid pitting decisions. But I want to show this. This is how we're going to end the show. Wrestling is fake, right? This is how this guy looked after his match.
Oh, yeah.
That's how the winner looked.
So some of those wrestlers and what they can do, it blows me away. And I think the move that it really caught me off guard watching SummerSlam this weekend was what Charlotte Flair did off the top rope and spinning around up in the air and hitting those 2 girls on the floor. Those guys are workout machines. I mean, they take care of their bodies. They do take a lot of shots. And so, it goes back to the Roddy Piper interview with Sting. And I don't remember who all was in that interview with one of the late night talk hosts, and Piper dropping his pants and showing him the bruises and the scarring from the injury. So yes, it's scripted, but they are out there working and being hard on their bodies. So,
all right, that's going to do it for this show. I need to calm down and cool down after that crazy Yankee game.
So we should be back in the station next week. Get your key
Fingers
working,
crossed.
would you? Get your key working.
We got a week to figure that out. I wish we were in there today, but that is Robert. I'm Randy. This was a fun show. I was in a good mood, and now I'm in a stressful mood. And I'm going to go calm down. And Robert's going to go watch that match. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. But until then,